What if the reason most people stay weak is not because they lack talent, but because they try too hard to be liked? From childhood, we are taught to be kind, to be polite, to make everyone happy and to avoid conflict. But the real world does not always reward kindness. In many situations, the person who looks strong, confident, and even a little dangerous gets more respect than the person who is always nice. More than 500 years ago, one man understood this truth better than anyone else. His name was Niccolo Machiavelli, and his ideas about power were so honest that people called him dangerous. He believed that if you want to survive in a competitive world, you must understand how human nature really works, not how you wish it worked. One of his most famous rules shocked people for centuries. He said that if a leader cannot be both loved and feared, it is safer to be feared. This does not mean becoming cruel or violent. It means understanding that respect often comes from strength, not from kindness alone. When people think you are weak, they test you. When people think you are strong, they think twice before crossing you. In this video, you will understand why Machiavelli believed fear can be more powerful than love, and why this rule is still used by leaders, businessmen, and successful people today. Machiavelli lived during a time when politics was full of betrayal, wars, and sudden changes of power. Governments fell quickly, alliances changed overnight, and leaders who trusted too easily often lost everything. While working in government, he watched how rulers behaved when their position was in danger. He noticed something that most people did not want to admit. The leaders who survived were not always the kindest ones. They were the ones who understood when to be soft and when to be hard. When he later wrote his famous book, he decided not to describe an imaginary perfect world. Instead, he described the world exactly as he saw it. He explained that people are not always loyal, not always honest, and not always grateful. When life becomes difficult, many people think first about themselves. Because of this, a leader who depends only on love puts himself in danger. Love is based on feelings, and feelings can change very quickly. Someone who admires you today can turn against you tomorrow if it benefits them. Machiavelli believed that a wise person should never forget this reality. He did not say that kindness is useless, but he warned that kindness without strength makes you easy to control. According to Machiavelli, fear works differently than love. When people fear consequences, they become careful. They think before they act. They respect boundaries because they know there is a cost if they cross them. This is why he believed that fear can protect power more reliably than love. A leader who is respected but also seen as strong creates stability, because people know that rules will be enforced. Without that strength, authority slowly disappears. He saw rulers lose their kingdoms simply because they wanted everyone to like them. They forgave enemies too easily, trusted promises too quickly, and avoided hard decisions until it was too late. Machiavelli wanted people to understand that real strength is not about shouting or hurting others. It is about control, discipline, and the ability to make decisions without being controlled by emotions. When you understand this rule, you start to see why some people naturally command respect while others are ignored, even if they are good and honest. The difference is not always morality. Often the difference is the ability to show that you cannot be easily pushed, fooled, or replaced. One of the most important things Niccolo Machiavelli wanted people to understand was that human behavior changes when power is involved. When everything is calm, people speak about loyalty, honesty, and friendship. But when their position is at risk, many of them start thinking about their own survival first. Machiavelli observed this again and again while watching political leaders lose their authority. He noticed that the moment a ruler looked weak, the same people who once praised him began to question him, challenge him, and sometimes betray him. This is why he believed that depending only on love is dangerous. Love can disappear when fear disappears. When people feel there are no consequences, they become careless. They test limits, they break rules, and they stop taking leadership seriously. According to Machiavelli, a strong leader does not need to be cruel, but he must make it clear that his authority is real. When people know that there are limits they cannot cross, they behave differently. They become more respectful, more careful, and more loyal. Not only because they want to, but because they know they must. This is the kind of stability Machiavelli believed every powerful person needs. Without it, control slowly slips away, and once authority is lost, it is very difficult to get it back. He warned that the biggest mistake a leader can make is waiting too long to show strength. Because once people stop fearing consequences, they stop respecting the person in charge. Machiavelli also explained that being feared does not mean being hated. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of his philosophy. He clearly said that a wise person should avoid hatred at all costs, because hatred makes people want to revenge, and revenge creates danger. The goal is not to make people suffer, but to make them understand that you cannot be easily used or ignored. When someone is loved but not respected, others feel comfortable taking advantage of them. But when someone is respected and seen as strong, people think carefully before acting against them. Machiavelli believed that balance is the key. Too much kindness makes you look weak, and too much cruelty makes you hated. The strongest position is in the middle, where people see you as fair but also firm. He gave examples of rulers who stayed in power for a long time because they knew how to keep this balance. They rewarded loyalty, but they also punished betrayal. They listened to advice, but they made their own decisions. They did not try to please everyone, because they understood that pleasing everyone is impossible. Instead, they focused on keeping control and protecting their position. This idea is not only for kings or politicians. Even in modern life, the same rule can be seen everywhere. In work, in business, and even in personal relationships, people respect those who have clear boundaries and the courage to defend them. Machiavelli believed that once you understand this truth, you stop trying to make everyone happy and start learning how to protect your own strength. Another reason Niccolo Machiavelli believed fear can be more reliable than love is because people often change their behavior when their interests change. When everything is going well, loyalty looks strong, promises sound honest, and respect feels real. But when situations become difficult, many people start thinking about what benefits them the most. Machiavelli saw this happen many times in politics, where allies suddenly became enemies and supporters quickly disappeared when a leader lost power. Because of this, he warned that a person who depends only on kindness is taking a risk. Kindness works best with people who already have strong character, but not everyone does. Some people respect only strength, and some only follow rules when they know those rules will be enforced. Machiavelli explained that fear creates a clear line that people do not want to cross because they understand there will be consequences. Without that line, authority slowly becomes a suggestion instead of a rule. He did not mean that a leader should threaten everyone all the time. In fact, he believed unnecessary cruelty makes a leader weak, because it creates anger and hatred. What he meant was that strength should always be visible, even when it is not being used. When people know that you are capable of making hard decisions, they behave differently around you. They become more careful with their words, more serious with their actions, and more respectful of your position. This is why Machiavelli believed that controlled fear, not uncontrolled cruelty, is what protects power. Machiavelli also talked about the importance of reputation. He believed that power is not only about what you do, but also about what people think you can do. If people believe you are weak, they will test you. If people believe you are strong, many problems disappear before they even start. This is why he advised leaders to manage how they appear in front of others. A person who always looks unsure, apologizes too much, or avoids difficult decisions slowly loses respect, even if he has good intentions. On the other hand, someone who speaks with confidence, sets clear limits, and stays calm under pressure creates an image of strength. Machiavelli believed this image is very important, because humans often react to what they see, not to what is hidden. He wrote that a wise person learns how to control his emotions in public, even when he feels anger, fear, or doubt inside. This self-control makes others believe that he cannot be easily shaken. Over time, this reputation becomes a shield that protects him from challenges. People think twice before opposing someone who looks unbreakable. Machiavelli saw reputation as a form of silent power. It works without noise, without violence, and without constant effort, but only if it is built carefully. In modern life, this idea can be seen everywhere. The people who are respected the most are not always the loudest or the most aggressive. Often they are the ones who show discipline, confidence, and the ability to stay firm when others hesitate. According to Machiavelli, once you understand how reputation shapes behavior, you realize that real strength is not only about force, but about the image of control that others see in you. In the end, the real meaning behind the rule of Niccolo Machiavelli was never about becoming cruel, and it was never about hurting people for no reason. His message was about understanding reality without hiding from it. He believed that many people suffer in life not because they are bad, but because they refuse to see how the world actually works. They trust too quickly, forgive too easily, and expect loyalty from people who only care about their own benefit. When those expectations break, they feel betrayed and confused. Machiavelli wanted people to be prepared instead of surprised. He believed that strength begins when you accept that human nature is not perfect. People can be kind, but they can also be selfish. People can be loyal, but they can also change when fear or desire becomes stronger. If you understand this, you stop depending only on emotions and start thinking more carefully about your decisions. According to him, a wise person does not try to make everyone happy because that is impossible. Instead, he focuses on staying in control of himself and his situation. This control creates confidence, and confidence creates respect. When people see that you are not easily shaken, they treat you differently. They speak more carefully, they act more carefully, and they think twice before trying to take advantage of you. This is the kind of strength Machiavelli believed every person should develop. Not only rulers or leaders, but anyone who wants to survive in a competitive world. His rule about being feared more than loved was not a call for cruelty. It was a warning that respect without strength does not last long. True security comes from balance, where people know that you can be fair, but you cannot be pushed. If you understand this lesson, you start to see power in a different way. Power is not only about control over others, it is first about control over yourself. When you learn to stay calm under pressure, when you learn to set boundaries, and when you stop trying to please everyone, you begin to build the kind of presence that naturally earns respect. This is why the ideas of Machiavelli are still discussed after hundreds of years. The world has changed in technology, in culture, and in lifestyle, but human behavior is still very similar. People still respect strength, they still test weakness, and they still follow those who show confidence and discipline. On this channel, we explore these rules not to make life darker, but to make it clearer. Because when you understand the hidden side of human nature, you stop being controlled by it. If you want to learn more about power, psychology, and the strategies that successful people use without talking about them openly, stay connected to Coded Mind. Here we do not just repeat motivational words, we study the reality behind influence, leadership, and human behavior. Step by step,